Yo dudes, this is Logan coming at you today with a sustainability case study on the company Patagonia. So I'm a backpacker, big outdoor guy, so I absolutely love finding high quality products that are going to last a long time, fit well, and stand up to the elements. So that led me to finding a lot of Patagonia products over the years, and slowly I've learned more and more about their sustainability initiatives and how great of a company they are for that. So I've purchased more and more, and actually Patagonia now ends up being a majority of my clothing. And so what I wanted to do today is dive in a little deeper and see if they're really as sustainable as their marketing and word around the street is. So hope you enjoy the sustainability case study for Patagonia. To talk about the company a little bit, give a brief history, what their mission is, and then I'm going to start talking about what sustainability reporting frameworks they use, what commitments and initiatives they have as a company, and then I'm going to give an analysis on how the program Efficacy is, and then conclude with some of my final thoughts on Patagonia and whether they're sustainable or not and what areas they should work on. So Patagonia was founded in 1973 and they're headquartered in Ventura, California. They are a apparel company, mainly focusing on outdoor clothing, hiking, fishing, skiing, snowboarding, that kind of gear. But they have a variety of different things as well. And they've got tens of owned and operated stores, as well as factories and different distribution centers in over 15 countries across 5 different continents. So they're somewhat smaller brand when you compare them to Nike or Adidas, for example. However, they are global and have reach far and wide. With Patagonia having a focus on outdoor gear, they have a very environmental focus and a strong history and streak of activism, and they really embody a lot of environmental, social, and governance aspects into their mission and their work. So some of the sustainability history highlights you can see on the screen, really since the beginning focused on the outdoors. The founder has committed them to donating 1% of their revenue to environmental support causes. And so this isn't just 1% of profits, this is 1% of revenue, so a larger amount than most companies typically will donate to causes. And then not only that, but the founder co-founded a nonprofit that would also do that 1% for the planet for many businesses. So now there's multiple businesses that follow this 1% for the planet method. In 2012, they became a certified benefit corporation. So we'll talk about what that means a little bit later, but that's a big step in solidifying ESG elements into their operating practices. And they've also recently started taking back clothing through their Worn Wear program to repair and resell. And they've made a lot of different activist statements by suing the federal government for removing protections from lands, as well as removing their advertising from Facebook due to voting suppression right issues and various social issues as well. A really cool factor about Patagonia is they recently updated their mission statement a few years ago to say, we are in the business to save our home planet. So a bold mission statement like that is very effective in ensuring that the people that work for the company really feel that what they're doing is trying to help make a difference. It also means that they have to actually make progress and show actions that support this kind of behavior. So we'll look into whether that is done through their actions and initiatives. So as mentioned before, Patagonia is a benefit corporation or B Corp. They are also a private company, so they don't need to do public filings like companies that are on the stock market. So because they're private, they have a little more control of what they can do. And being a benefit corporation means they have a legally binding fiduciary responsibility to include interests of workers, the community, and the environment in addition to their shareholders. This legal status also really makes sure that they're third-party verified and that there's a legal framework there to support their initiatives and mission within the corporation, even during changing times. Interestingly enough, Patagonia chooses not to explicitly use the term sustainable because by the act of making products, they're still extracting resources and creating waste. And so they don't use the word sustainable because they feel that they're still part of the problem, but they're doing many steps to try and solve those issues and really transform the company for the long term. So when we start to look at the reporting frameworks that Patagonia follows, really, as you can see, they really only follow that benefit corporation framework. It's a very strict, formal, and strong structure to follow. However, it does limit some of the efficacy that their programs could have. What I mean by that is when you see the other frameworks on the side, for example, the Global Reporting Initiative, or GRI, that really ensures that metrics are reported in a very specific way. So companies can be compared to each other. So say they could be compared to other apparel brands or any other company to see if their actions are truly effective. The Sustainable Development Goals developed by the United Nations is also a very important framework to make sure that the actions being taken to further environmental and social governance topics are actually in the areas that need it the most. And so the SDGs are a very important thing to tie into because as a global community, we've already determined what issues are facing the globe and what needs to be worked on. And so really aligning actions to make that global progress is very important. So Patagonia, I could see, has a little bit more work to do in this area. Again, B Corp certification and framework is very strong and very solid in terms of metrics and reporting as well. But to really strengthen it, following GRI standards and then enabling connection to SDGs in their reporting would really tie together both their focus on what they're doing environmentally, socially, and governments-wise, but it would really improve how other apparel companies, for example, could see their reporting and see ways to improve as well, which could help raise the entire apparel industry environmentally. Patagonia has a really cool structure for how they implement their ESG goals. And so they use a 6 benefit commitments structure for themselves and their subsidiaries. As you can see on the graphic there, they have 1% for the planet, which we've mentioned before, but they also focus on building the best product with no unnecessary harm, conducting operations causing no unnecessary harm, sharing best practices with other companies, transparency, and providing a supportive work environment. So you can see they kind of break out the social elements to their workers, other businesses, and social causes as well. So when we look at what is their progress on the 1% for the planet, where they donate their revenue to environmental support groups, you can see they've already hit $116 million in support since 1985 in those first pledges. Huge amount there. Also, they've done many additional pledges, $10 million or more, in helping Georgia voting rights groups and other social and environmental causes. So they have strong focus in this, strong progress, but it would be nice to see some metrics on what is that support doing, right? You can say I donated $116 million to these groups, but what efforts have those groups made to make a change? How many trees have been planted? How many acres of forest saved? How many people pulled out of poverty? Deeper metrics on what that money is doing could really increase the transparency in this topic for them. Now, when we look at build the best product with no unnecessary harm, they have an excellent return rate due to quality issues. Only 0.39% get returned for those issues. And now with their new worn wear program, where they take in old products that you send them, repair them and resell them, or sometimes just repair them for your use again, they're really working on even minimizing that waste factor even more. an excellent social aspect of this and worker-based focus is that they do pay fair trade premiums to their nearly 49,000 plus factory workers. So important there that they are trying to build the best product with no unnecessary harm. However, when you look at their material sheet, over the years they have increased the use of animal products through wool. They do use responsible wool standards. However, utilizing animal products is counter to the general trend going on in less harm behavior. And also, as you can see, they still use nearly 50% of their products are virgin materials that are fossil fuel based. So that's still a pretty massive amount of emissions and waste directly from fossil fuels. They do use a lot of recycled materials. However, this is still a large number that they'll really need to focus on further because they've been making not much progress in this area. So they're definitely going to need to focus a little bit more on this initiative to truly make a difference. So in their third initiative, conduct operations causing no unnecessary harm, they're really focused on kind of more of the operational side of their factories and stores. And so you can see they're focused on carbon neutral by 2025. They're already 100% of electricity used in the US is renewable, but they're trying to scale out that more globally to their factories and other locations that it's harder to procure renewable energy in those markets. So they're doing a lot of actual solar builds and solar ads in places as well. Also, they use 100% of their receipt paper is recyclable and non-toxic ink, so they're making good strides there. However, again, with the use of fossil fuels for their products and then still in some of their factories, they still have a lot of work to do here as well, but they are actually making investments in clean energy technology that will help them in the future. What I would like to see is more use of, instead of virgin material, fossil fuel based plastics, use bioplastic materials. That would really reduce those footprints in their products. And then on their operations side, they can use more clean energy technology, and they should be providing detailed metrics on those as well. So Patagonia prides itself on transparency. Over 16 years, they've been the leader in the market and some of the first in the market to actually list all the factories they're working with. You know, a lot of apparel companies aren't vertically integrated all the way down. They use the same factories as other apparel companies, but it's been important for Patagonia to be transparent with what factories they are working with. That way people can see their whole supply chain line and really understand the impacts and where these things are being sourced from. They also write a variety of different blogs about climate activism, social activism, all sorts of different things that showcase that they are not just trying to make products for you to buy. They are trying to benefit society and the environment through action and education. They provide annual benefit corporation reporting through the B Corp certification process. So you can see their annual reports to see all of these metrics, how they relate to previous years. And so they're very good on that. Their metrics are very clean. However, they could be a lot more robust and comprehensive. The reports are very dry. While the metrics are clear and bolded and easy to find, it's a very dry report to read, not very visually intense. They could use a lot more graphics, a lot more historical perspective. Very few times do they show year-over-year progress. They just kind of show the number as it is today. A best practice, and again, recommending them use Global Reporting Initiative standards, is to show more elements of year-over-year components to each of their metrics to see if they're actually making progress. Another interesting initiative that they have is sharing best practices with other companies. So this is a really cool way that they really help work through the supply chain and really grow and amplify the efforts that they're trying to do. As you can see here, they've worked with a company called Bireo to use 8.4 million square feet of fishing net to recycle and use those plastics and products in their clothing lines. And so this gets an industry built that takes old fishing nets and really supports that there is a use for this product, and show that there's a market globally for these waste products. It's very important in circularity design to showcase that there are markets for waste products. So this is a big initiative for them to do that kind of activity, and they do it in other materials as well. But they've focused this kind of investment in over 14 businesses focused on renewable energy, regenerative organic agriculture, conserving water, diverting waste as we've seen, and also creating other sustainable materials. So they're really trying to change the industry's view and circularity of all the things they touch. All the material elements of their business line, energy, products, the environment, to really make a difference utilizing other businesses to grow those industries as well. So they do really well in this category, and what I would love to see is some sharing of their best practices with maybe other apparel companies to really increase that transparency and to showcase that they're really building trust with their customers, which can't be copied. Whereas the products, anybody can copy these, they're made in the same factories as well, but the trust that they're building through this kind of activities cannot be copied. And so that's really the value in the future for them. And so if they can be more transparent and even more sharing with their innovations, their methods, I think they could really change the industry for good. Wrapping up their initiative list is providing a supportive work environment. In addition to the fair trade labor prices they pay factory workers, their corporate workers also get a variety of additional benefits. As you can see, they get full paid health care, insurance premiums paid, part-time, full-time from the first day. Nearly half of the executives are female, showcasing good diversity in their top level. And they also have strong paternity and maternity leaves that are actually utilized, as well as 401k plans, volunteer hours, and alternative work schedules. So while these are great strides in the work environment, I would love to see them focus again on more SDG focused goals. So things like education, instead of just providing their factory workers some fair trade premiums for their labor, I'd love to see them providing educational opportunities to help the countries that they're in, the communities that they're in, and those workers be able to be more mobile career-wise. So now that we've talked about their initiatives and some of my suggestions for improvement of how they could do better, let's talk about their efficacy a little bit. So while I have provided many areas that they can improve in, they do score very strongly on a lot of these topics, as you can see. In B Corporation scoring, it's a scale up to 200, and they score 151.4 on their last report, so very high in these rankings. You have to score above 80 to be certified as a B Corp. And so they are well and above that aspect. As you can see kind of by the list, every year they're winning awards for best for the environment, best for the community, and all kinds of awards for their actions. It may be hard to see on the graphic, but one of their low scoring areas though is their customer. Their products are very high priced, and being high priced products, they're not really providing value to underserved populations specifically. So it's great that, people who can afford these luxury items can have them and they last a long time, but they could do better at ensuring that there's more customer access and options. So, for example, for their worn wear program where they're taking back clothes and repairing and reselling them, they could do things like donating those clothes to underserved and populations in need. They could also take into their account their customers' view and vision of the actions that they should be taking as well, and incorporate more customer feedback into their stakeholder analysis of their goals. Overall, they clearly have a very efficacious sustainability program, but there's still a lot of elements they can work on to improve. So overall, I would give Patagonia a very high rating in sustainability. Again, no corporation is sustainable currently. So while there's still actions to take, Patagonia is definitely walking the sustainability talk. I really feel that Patagonia is a strong company actually focused on these things. The fact that they're a private company still means they're not being influenced by stockholders and people looking to just directly make profit. So if they can maintain that private stature and then move forward with these initiatives, align them to the global frameworks, and continue to push the industry, I really feel that they'll be one of the larger companies in the next 10 years as they continue to grow and gain customers who are leaving these less sustainable focused companies. And so for me, it's very easy to support a company like this, and I highly recommend you look into them and see if they're right for you as well.